Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
The East Coast bundles up for a brutal night of wind and snow, a massive blizzard that could paralyze the region for days.
Rain is falling over much of Southern California. Right now, we're on storm track and have the latest.
A drone discovered on the White House lawn. We'll tell you what we're learning about the drone's operator. Good evening, I'm Mark Brown.
And I'm Rutabe Shabazi. David and Colleen have the night off. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. A crippling blizzard is taking hold of the Northeast tonight. Preparing for the worst, the governors in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut have all declared a state of emergency. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez joins us live in New York City, which has essentially been shut down tonight. Marcy?
Yeah, and the snow has been falling here in New York for much of the day. We're just now starting to see the snow and the wind pick up, though, and already several inches of accumulation have built up. The flakes already falling, and the worst is yet to come.
It is a serious blizzard. It should not be taken lightly.
From Philadelphia through New England, this massive blizzard is expected to bring up to several feet of snow.
I'm hoping for less, but I think we're really going to get hammered.
And a key concern, the wind, with gusts predicted to be above 50 miles an hour, bringing whiteout conditions and the potential for widespread power outages.
This will most likely be one of the largest blizzards in the history of New York City.
In the city, mass transit will shut down, and only salt trucks, snow plows, and emergency vehicles will be allowed on the roads tonight. The same in Connecticut.
I have signed a travel ban for the entire state.
Also in preparation, lots of cancellations, from flights to votes on Capitol Hill and some NBA games being postponed. And with so many schools and businesses closing tomorrow, now the last-minute lines.
Who wants hot chocolate here? Thank you guys for waiting.
And the scramble to stock up ahead of the storm.
You should stay home if you can. You should only go out in the case of an absolute emergency.
And the worst of the blizzard expected to start moving in within the next hour, and then it will continue through tomorrow morning. Some areas are bracing for 2 to 3 inches of snowfall every hour. Live in New York City, Marcy Gonzalez, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Mark and Rutabe, back to you.
And Marcy, what does this mean for people trying to get into and out of the city tonight?
Well, they're actually running out of time as they're trying to get into or out of the city, because starting in about an hour, all of the bridges and tunnels into and out of New York City will be shut down. Mass transit is shutting down. The roads in the city will be closed to everything except for emergency vehicles, and a lot of the commuter trains also closing down. So people are in a hurry to get where they're going, and the visibility, we're told, is starting to go down. So they are really running out of time to get home.
All right, Marcy Gonzalez, thank you very much for that live report. Well, you certainly can't fly out. The storm has caused a ripple effect of flight delays and cancellations. Here at LAX, nearly 90 flights were canceled today, affecting thousands of people's travel plans. Both American Airlines and U.S. Airways have suspended operations to 5 East Coast airports. JetBlue canceled flights to the East Coast through Wednesday morning. For travelers, the delays are frustrating but understandable.
I've got work. I've got less money in my account. We checked out of our hotel, and I'm a little worried, but what can we do?
They just keep on pushing us around a little bit. I mean, what are you going to do? It's 30 inches of snow.
In total, 6,500 flights have been canceled across the nation. It could be several days before air travel returns to normal. And back home here, we have a little rain. Air 7 HD live right now over Simi Valley. There's a look at it. And Jonathan is here now to tell us the rest of what's going on out there.
Yeah, Mark, a little rain, folks. It looks like things are still steadily raining outside. The live Meganoppler 7000 HD showing a lot of green, which is light rainfall. Anytime you see some of these yellow areas here, that would be some moderate rainfall. But that's really not the case. I've just looked at some of the latest reports for rainfall totals, and anywhere from Thousand Oaks to Van Nuys, Northridge, and down to Los Angeles, I've seen totals of about 1/10 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch at most. So, snow would be the other question mark. We've actually had a little bit of that around Wrightwood to Mount Baldy, and now showing up just south of Big Bear Lake. Tonight, as things get a little bit cooler, I think we'll see potentially up to about maybe 3 or 4 inches of snow accumulating, but The real cold air is going to be around 7,500 feet or above. A little pocket of some heavier rain north of Santa Barbara. Otherwise, again, it's kind of a showery night, just some light rain ahead. This is all moving from the southeast to the northwest. Kind of an odd setup for the weather pattern right now, but we'll take what we can get, and it looks like we've got a little bit more left for this round. I'll tell you about maybe the next round of rain coming up in that 7-day forecast in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. And wherever you are, you can use the free ABC7 Mega Doppler weather app to get the latest forecast. It's available from the iTunes App Store and Google Play. Just search Mega Doppler.
A nurse is recovering tonight after being shot today by a patient at a mental health clinic in Willowbrook. It happened just after noon at the Exodus Mental Health Urgent Care Center. Deputies say a nurse practitioner summoned security when the 20-year-old patient became agitated. The patient had a gun and it went off during a struggle with two unarmed security guards. The bullet hit the nurse, who has been hospitalized and is in stable condition. The patient was taken into custody.
A 3-year-old boy survives getting hit by gunfire while sleeping inside his home on the 38,000 block of 65th Street in Palmdale. The family of 3-year-old Dylan Hernandez are calling him a miracle child. Despite his wounds, the boy is out of the hospital and back on his feet. Dylan's family say the boy slept wrapped in his truck in a thick blanket, which slowed the bullet down, saving his life.
I'm very glad to God, because I know we are grateful right now.
I was very lucky. A lot of the blankets that was wrapped in absorbed a lot of the shock, so didn't penetrate the child.
Detectives say at least 2 bullets hit the home. They do not know if the residence was targeted. They're still looking for the gunman. If you have any information, you're urged to call LA County Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. The Apple Valley woman convicted of killing a 2-year-old girl by forcing her to eat chili powder has been sentenced to 15 years to life in state prison. 24-year-old Amanda Sorensen was sentenced today in Victorville. Officials say Sorensen tried to discipline her boyfriend's daughter, Joylene Garcia, 2 years ago by giving her chili powder and cupping her hand over her mouth to keep her from spitting it out. Garcia had a seizure and died at the hospital. Sorensen's attorney says his client had no idea chili powder could be deadly.
A former UC Riverside student accused of plotting to have 2 ex-boyfriends killed walked out of jail a free woman. Barbara Wu learned her sentence today after pleading guilty to a lesser charge. Eyewitness News Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez was in the courtroom and has more.
Barbara Wu has spent the last 610 days behind bars, accused of pitting one former boyfriend against another in a murder-for-hire plot. The former UC Riverside student was back in court this morning, accepting a plea bargain, admitting her guilt to a lesser charge of solicitation to commit assault.
This was never a solicitation case to commit murder, and Ms. Wu was very adamant about that from day one.
But during the preliminary hearing, the target of Wu's alleged plot testified she started to plan her revenge after he dumped her via email and claimed she even confronted him with a knife.
She eventually guarded the door with a knife. She started attacking him with a knife, and that's all I remember.
The 3 victims did not attend today's sentencing. Wu was given 3 years and 4 months time served. The presiding judge telling Wu this could have been a much different case.
Were they to actually have carried this out and killed somebody, you would be prosecuted for a special circumstance murder case, which could carry up to a capital punishment or the death penalty.
Wu's attorney says much of what happened resulted from a bad breakup and nothing more.
We felt that it was still something that should have never been criminalized. It was something that we see a lot of. People react to things with anger and so forth, and we say things that we don't mean.
As part of the plea agreement, Wu will be unable to contact the victims for a protective order that has been put in place for the next 10 years. Reporting from the Riverside County Superior Courthouse, Leticia Juarez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A scare in the nation's capital after a small drone crashes on the White House grounds. A government employee has admitted he was behind the drone, but there are still many unanswered questions. ABC's Pierre Thomas has the latest.
In the hours just before dawn, Secret Service and emergency personnel descend on the White House after a Secret Service officer reports seeing something unprecedented. A small drone 2 feet in diameter flying at low altitude inside the White House South Lawn fence. It crashes, and seen here is left tattered and broken. It's a so-called quadcopter, a miniature helicopter-style device, widely available. President Obama and the First Lady were in India on an official trip. But with the first daughters possibly home, word of the breach traveled quickly.
Early indications are that it does not pose any sort of ongoing threat.
But who sent the drone at 3 in the morning? Roughly 6 hours later, a man called the Secret Service to tell them that he lost control of the device, which he says he was using recreationally. The Secret Service, in the midst of a security overhaul after that White House fence jumper, is trying to confirm the drone pilot's account. But this raises serious questions about the ability to protect against such devices.
What about a terrorist and loading up a drone with some type of explosive device?
That was Pierre Thomas reporting. Last night's drone was not armed in any way, but the Secret Service says they are developing technology to combat any future drones that could be dangerous.
President Obama, meanwhile, joined Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in pushing for more trade and investment between the two countries. The two addressed corporate leaders from both nations at the U.S.-India Business Summit in New Delhi. President Obama says business between America and India is booming to the tune of $100 billion a year. This was the president's second day in that country, and from there he goes to Saudi Arabia to pay respects to the royal family following the death of King Abdullah.
A small plane in trouble, a pilot with nowhere to go but into the ocean. The dramatic scene is caught on camera. That pilot's survival story, in his words, coming up.
Plus, the path to get to the Hollywood sign reopened earlier this month. See how its popularity is getting a little tiresome for the neighbors.
Incredible video shows the frightening moments as a plane falls from the sky into the Pacific Ocean. Running out of fuel, the pilot of the single-engine plane radioed authorities yesterday afternoon. They directed him to go down near a cruise ship about 250 miles off the coast of Maui. The emergency parachute system worked as designed, and the plane landed gently in the water. The pilot was miraculously uninjured.
Have you handled other emergencies like this before?
No. We need to get him to the airport. I got to get going to the airport, guys.
He says he's heading back home to Seattle to be with his family. And in a bizarre coincidence, another small plane ran out of gas and crashed off the coast of Hawaii yesterday. All 4 people on that flight survived as well.
An armed robbery suspect in Murrieta is challenged by convenience store workers and ends up running away. Take a look at this surveillance video. You can see a man enter a USA gas station wearing a ski mask and a black sweatshirt. He points what appears to be a handgun at 2 workers. Then the robber and one of the workers exchange words, Then he takes off, runs out of the store. Now, while he didn't take anything in this case, he does match the description of the man responsible for 2 similar robberies.
On the Hollywood sign, it's a symbol of LA, drawing in tourists and locals alike. But for those who live nearby, the traffic is becoming unbearable. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes explains what residents hope to do about it.
It's just a touristy shot of the Hollywood sign, but getting it often leads to this. Streams of cars all trying to get through tight, winding roads below the Hollywood sign. A nuisance to residents here, but possibly much worse.
Emergency vehicles can't enter at certain times. That's a problem for the tourists, the hikers, and everybody.
Fran Reichenbach is with the Beechwood Canyon Neighborhood Association. She says the reopening of the Beechwood Canyon Trailhead earlier this month has made the traffic problems here worse.
It's chaos.
LA City Councilman Tom LaBonge wants 7-day-a-week permit parking, but says residents only want it on weekends. He's also proposing a city-operated shuttle service here.
You could buy a ticket for $10, $15, $20 to the trailhead, and you don't even park in the neighborhood.
LaBonge blames a lot of the problems on the latest technology. Smartphones in practically every pocket these days that can guide photo seekers much farther up the hill.
If I tell them to go to the observatory and GPS says come up Beechwood, they're going to come up Beechwood.
The city just recently installed a gate to keep cars from heading farther up the trail. And even though the trails are open, a pedestrian gate and these signs send a different message.
They say it's closed to the public, so it's kind of like they don't want it to become a big thing.
Meantime, hikers we spoke to say while it's important to be respectful to the residents here, it's also important for them to realize that they chose to buy homes in the shadow of the Hollywood sign.
If you live here, you're going to know that this is a landmark and people are going to come and try and see it.
In Beechwood Canyon, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Probably not so many hikers out there today, John. We'll go back with the rain out here.
No, and we have the steady rain. We need this like maybe 100 more times. This nice light steady rain to really do work in that drought. We've had some moments of really heavy rain this season, but that's not what we need. We need like what we have right now, which has basically been about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch around the area, steady through the day, nothing that's going to cause any flooding, and no real problems associated with this system. But needed rain is around the area. Live Meganopolis 7000 HD. Let's check it out. We'll zoom on in. Again, Thousand Oaks, Van Nuys, Simi Valley, San Fernando, all the way down to Los Angeles. Anywhere you see this green shade, this is light rainfall. We've had some pockets of moderate rainfall at times, but this has generally been the case. And this is all moving from the southeast to the northwest, which is a little unusual for this time of the year. Normally, we see winter systems dive down from the north, but we'll take it. We've got a little bit of cold air working its way in around Big Bear and Wrightwood, Mount Baldy. That means a little bit of snow, maybe overnight. A couple of inches, maybe 3 inches total. Freezing level right there around 7,000 to 7,500 feet, pretty high up. And off to the west here around Santa Barbara down through Ventura County. Just offshore, you have some moderate rain, but otherwise onshore, you're still seeing some steady rainfall around the area, but it's light. And hey, by the way, this is some of that snow I was just telling you about. That's beautiful. Oh, it's a great sight. We need that. We need more of it. In fact, there's a winter weather advisory that goes through early morning for portions of the San Bernardino County Mountains. That is for Tuesday until 2 a.m. And then we'll really start seeing things wind down after that. It's 59 right now at the coast, light winds. Mostly cloudy, and again, the rain is light. Big Bear's at 37. We need you to cool off a little bit more tonight. Hopefully, we'll make that happen for you. And this is the system that is bringing the rain. It's from the south, and it's circulating around like this, bringing in that subtropical moisture and bringing it up all over the mountains and into the area. Nothing that's very heavy, but we'll take it for about another maybe 10 hours or so before it lifts out of the area, and this is what it looks like for the future rainfall as a result. This is 8 p.m. Scattered activity. It's picking up on pretty nicely. Bring it through about 6 a.m., and it's out of the area. Okay, by sunrise, I think we'll see some dry conditions and not a bad day tomorrow. Partly cloudy, temperatures mild. Morning lows with a cloud cover around 56 in Los Angeles, and then highs tomorrow climbing up to the upper 60s in Northridge, 72 Los Angeles, above average, 71 in Long Beach, and 68 Redondo Beach. Here's a 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, powered up by AccuWeather. We got clouds from this point on through Friday. There's another system for Thursday. I don't think right now it looks like it's got enough moisture with it, enough oomph to bring some rain. We'll keep it dry, temperatures in the mid-70s, but another breezy weekend ahead. Santa Ana's back in the forecast for Saturday, Sunday. I don't think it'll be as bad as what we just saw, but some winds ahead for this weekend as well in the valleys, and about 4 more days of some mild, cloudy weather before we get there. Beach, 68 tomorrow, into the 70s from Wednesday, Thursday. We'll keep you dry but cooler and cloudy. And then the mountains, you could see a little bit more snow tonight. It looks like a cool forecast for you in the mid-40s overall. And then you might actually catch a little bit of precipitation with that next system on Thursday, Friday. The high desert, slim chance of a little bit more of that moisture working its way around to you. And then we'll dry you out and bring you down to the 50s by Friday. More weather coming up in a few minutes. Back to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. Could there be 3D printed cars in our future? You might say impossible, but wait till you see this.
From sweets to tools, 3D printing is sparking creativity and functionality.
And that's where you'll see this kind of rough design that is straight out of the printer.
But this is a first, a 3D printed car, and it made a stop at El Camino College.
The process to build this car took about 2 years, from idea to actual fruition.
Local Motors, an Arizona-based company, teamed up with an Italian auto designer and others to build the electric vehicle, which took about 44 hours to print. It's called Strati, which means layers in Italian. The car's body, seats, and structure were all printed using plastic and carbon fiber compounds. This time-lapse video posted on YouTube by Local Motors shows the construction process.
Technology advances really quickly, doesn't it? It could happen in 2 years. To get from idea to printing it at IMTS, it only took us about 2 years.
The Strati is still in its prototype phase, but its makers hope it will encourage students to pursue careers in math and science.
I think 3D modeling is going to make it cheaper, more efficient, and I mean the fact that it doesn't create any waste is great for the environment. So I think there's a lot of potential.
Usually when people come up with ideas, a couple years down the road, it went from, a drawing on paper to a new model. So I'm excited.
El Camino and other colleges are encouraging students to pursue careers in the STEM fields. That stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Sure is moving quickly, isn't
it?
Ahead here on Eyewitness News, Pizza Hut is adding something new to its menu. We'll tell you what it is, plus this.
She came through my line one day and she said, what's your blood type?
A woman in desperate need of a kidney finds her donor in an unlikely place, in line at the grocery store.
And get a taste of the Internet of the future, how it could change the way you communicate. Coming up.
Welcome back. A Georgia grocery store cashier gets a life-saving gift from a stranger who just happened to come through her line.
Lorraine she came through my line one day and she said, what's your blood type? And I was like, God, this lady is weird, you know.
The customer, Lorraine Hansen, is a nurse who had noticed Michelle Davis was wearing a dialysis catheter. Davis had needed a kidney since June when the one she received from a deceased donor stopped working.
She goes, you need a kidney transplant? And I was like, yeah. So she goes, here's my name and number. Call me for what I need to do to give you a kidney.
She gave me the number. I called Piedmont. They did a cross match of our blood. And if you can believe that we're not even relatives, but we were a perfect cross match.
Wow. As a mother and grandmother, Hansen says her maternal instincts just kicked in. 1 week after the transplant surgery, both women are doing well. Davis now plans to go to medical school to become an anesthesiologist.
Hey. Well, Pizza Hut has something new on the menu. Starting today, it's offering gluten-free pizzas. They won't be sold at all stores, but they will be available at about 2,400 locations in the United States. The special cheese or cheese and pepperoni pizzas are designed to be entirely gluten-free. But a warning for customers with celiac disease, Pizza Hut says their kitchens are not gluten-free environments and there is a risk of cross-contamination.
Bringing all 5 senses to the online experience, a London-based professor is developing technology that will allow people to taste, smell, and touch other people using their smartphones. He calls his work mixed reality. Want someone far away to be able to taste a breakfast being cooked up? Just use a taste machine that places electrodes on the tongue to trigger taste neurons. How about smelling your favorite flower? He's created a device to plug into your smartphone that will emit smell messages.
In the real world, we can open up the glass, open the window, and we can touch, we can taste, we can smell in the real world. So what we need to do is we need to bring computers, the way we interact with computers, like we do in the physical world, with all of our 5 senses.
He's also developing a hug ring. It syncs with your smartphone and allows someone to give your finger a squeeze from their phone when they're thinking of you.
Very sweet. Coming up, we are updating the evening's top stories next here at 7:30, including the latest on that storm moving through Southern California. We'll have a live report.
Plus, the legal dispute continues to unfold over the mega hit song Blurred Lines. We have the latest.
And former cyclist Lance Armstrong opening up about life after he admitted to doping. You'll hear what he's saying now.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, the East Coast shutting down tonight, bracing for the effects of a massive blizzard. I'm Rutabaga Shabazi.
I'm Mark Brown. David and Colleen are off. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. There's been a bit of a lull in the snow, but officials are warning it is literally the calm before the storm. The worst is expected overnight, with some people waking up to 3 feet of snow. Local politicians in many areas have declared a state of emergency. They're shutting down schools, freeways, and public transportation. If you plan to travel to the East Coast, beware. Thousands of flights have been canceled, too.
Here at home, the rain has been falling steadily across the Southland. The wet weather is a welcome sight, but is wreaking havoc on roads. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride is live in Santa Clarita, where it's sprinkling. Melissa?
And Rutabaga, I would say it was sprinkling about 5 minutes ago, and it's pretty much stopped for the most part as the rain has tapered off in many parts of LA County this evening, where it had been raining earlier today. Late this afternoon, showers moved through the San Gabriel Valley. Drivers in Pasadena had their wipers going, and some people in Old Town put their umbrellas to use. The evening commute was a wet one. The California Highway Patrol says the number of accidents and calls for service almost always double when it does rain. Officers remind drivers to keep a safe distance between their car and the one ahead of them, and to check their tire pressure.
If they have overinflated tires, that can cause hydroplaning. We want to remind everybody to slow down first and foremost. The rain doesn't cause accidents, it's how we drive in the rain. So you cannot continue to drive at 65, 70 miles an hour when it's raining. You need to slow down.
Earlier today, it was raining in Riverside, one of the places that received some moisture. The system is not producing a lot of rain, however, about 1/10 of an inch in most places, a little bit more in the foothill communities. But given the fact that we are in a drought here, a severe one in Southern California, every little bit helps. Reporting live in Santa Clarita, I'm Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Melissa, thanks a lot. Our Jonathan Novak has been tracking the storm all evening. He's here to tell us how long this rain's going to last. Jonathan?
Hey, Mark. Hey, folks. Well, not terribly long. I think by daybreak tomorrow we will see drier conditions, much drier conditions. In fact, you can kind of see how the back end of this shield of showers is right about here, and then scattered activity down to the southeast. I still think we'll see some wet stuff for a good 6 hours or so, plus through the night, but it's going to be sort of tapering off. That's going to be the trend, I think. All right, let's zoom into Santa Clarita and down all the way to Los Angeles, east of Pasadena and Glendora, where we have light rainfall, and Melissa was mentioning rainfall totals. Yeah, about 1/10 of an inch. I saw Temecula with about 0.3 total so far. We'll add maybe another I'd say maybe 5/100 of an inch to that, I guess, overnight. And then we have some snow around Wrightwood, Mount Baldy, and Big Bear, but even that is just very light because the freezing level is about 7,500 feet. Again, taking a look at one more time at the south of this batch of rain is more scattered activity, so that's kind of what's going to be moving in overnight, and then by daybreak, we're keeping it dry. By the way, with that snow around Big Bear, we have that winter weather advisory that's in effect till 2 a.m., maybe a few inches of snow accumulating at the higher elevations. Then we look ahead to the next storm system later on in the work week. I'll tell you what that means for your 7-day coming up in a few.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Well, whether you're planning to travel or dealing with the drizzle here at home, count on Eyewitness News and ABC7.com to get all the information you need on the weather. From alerts to flight delays and the interactive live radar, our free ABC7 Mega Doppler app puts it in the palm of your hand. Download it for free from the App Store or Google Play.
Oakview Elementary School in Huntington Beach is reopening tomorrow after being closed for more than 2 months because of asbestos problems. 2nd through 5th graders will be returning tomorrow, but in portable classrooms. They're still doing work on the main campus. Kindergartners will remain at Pleasant View Preschool, and 1st graders will stay at Sunview Elementary. The other 2 affected schools, Lakeview and Hopeview Elementary, are still closed.
Authorities in Georgia have found 2 bodies believed to be those of a couple who disappeared after making a deal on Craigslist. Authorities also found the car belonging to the couple in a lake near the spot where the bodies were located. Investigators say Bud and June Runyon, a married couple in their 60s, were traveling from Murrieta to McRae to meet a man claiming to sell a classic car. The suspect in the case, 28-year-old Ronnie Towns, surrendered and is now in custody. Investigators say Towns was the last person to have contact with the couple.
2 years after confessing to doping, Lance Armstrong speaks exclusively to the BBC. Armstrong was stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles and banned from the sport for life. He says the fallout has been heavier than he expected. Then the question, would he do it again?
If I was racing in 2015, no, I wouldn't do it again. Because I don't think you have to do it again. If you take me back to 1995, when it was completely and totally pervasive, I'd probably do it again. I know what happened with the industry, the cycling industry. I know what happened to Trek bicycles, 100 million in sales to $1 billion in sales. I know what happened to my foundation, from raising no money to raising $500 million, serving 3 million people. Do all those people do we want to go make a different decision? Do we want to take it away? I don't think anybody says yes. They would argue.
Armstrong also referred to his comeback in 2009, which ultimately led to his downfall, as the biggest mistake of his life.
Melissa Rivers is suing the clinic where her mother, Joan, went for a routine medical procedure, stopped breathing, and later died. The doctors who treated her before her death are also being sued. Melissa Rivers issued a statement saying she filed the suit so that no other family had to go through what she did. Joan Rivers died September 4th. Federal authorities have already cited the clinic for failing to identify deteriorating vital signs and provide timely intervention. So far, the clinic has not commented on the lawsuit.
The legal dispute continues to unfold over the big hit song Blurred Lines. Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams are being sued by the children of R&B legend Marvin Gaye, who argue that parts of the song were lifted from one of Gaye's big hits. Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin was in the courtroom today for a pre-trial hearing. It has more.
When you listen to Robin Thicke's smash hit Blurred Lines, then you listen to Marvin Gaye's classic Got to Give It Up, it's certainly easy to spot similarities, but a jury will have to rule on whether or not those similarities crossed over into copyright infringement. However, the jury will not get to hear the original Marvin Gaye recording. That was the ruling today from federal judge John Cronstadt. He ruled that Marvin Gaye's performance in the original recording is not at issue. He ruled that the jury will only hear interpretations of the musical composition, not Gaye's voice. That's a huge victory for attorneys representing Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams, who co-wrote Blurred Lines in 2013.
We're gratified that the judge recognized that what's at issue is the lead sheet, the composition owned by the Gaye family, not the sound recording of Got to Give It Up.
But attorneys for Gaye's family say that Thicke and Williams stole key parts of Gaye's song.
We feel very strongly about our case, and we always have.
Although proving that to a jury without the original recording will present more of a challenge.
If there are restrictions on that, if we can't put in all of our evidence, then we'll see how that goes. But we feel very strongly from our evidence that we feel that we have a very strong case.
Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Both sides have said there is no chance for a settlement. The trial is set to start February 10th.
Still to come, repurposing an old video game controller for something remarkable.
Yeah, you have to see how this local animator is using his old Nintendo Power Glove to make stop-motion animation magic.
And we'll show you why people are coming from all over to see what this local donut shop has to offer today.
The NFL has officially taken over the convention center in Phoenix as we get closer to Super Bowl 49. Fans can check out a new multi-level interactive theme park celebrating all things football. The Super Bowl experience includes learning about the history of the sport, trying out your own skills, meeting the pros, and more. The Vince Lombardi Trophy and all the Super Bowl rings are also on display. The Super Bowl experience will run until the big game on Sunday.
There will be another blast from the past for video game lovers on Super Bowl Sunday. Bud Light is releasing this ad online, which they shot here in LA. And check this out, they built a giant Pac-Man board and let some lucky guy try to weave his way through the puzzle, escaping those pesky ghosts. Now, it looks like fun. More and more companies are releasing their Super Bowl spots online before the big game, hoping to generate buzz and maybe a little more bang for their buck, since a 30-second spot now costs roughly $4.5 million.
I would do that. That looks like fun.
Yeah, it does look like fun.
I want to do this, too, if I had the skills. An old Nintendo toy from the 1980s is now being put to use making movies.
Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez shows us how a local stop-motion animator has made it a tool of his trade.
Everything else is child's play.
It was Nintendo's coolest video game gadget in 1989. Even the centerpiece of a feature movie with child star Fred Savage, the Wizard.
I love the Power Glove.
The Power Glove did not last, but the idea of a wearable tool?
Well, I just want to share what's inspiring to me with other people.
Dylan Markey says it was the perfect fit for his job. He is a stop-action animator. Think Robot Chicken, the movie, or what he's working on now.
I'm going to just move his little arm here.
He must reposition everything. Arms, eyebrows, eyeballs, moving the character 24 times to make just 1 second of video. He had been using a handheld pad, but that tethers him to the computer. And all that time lost, walking back and forth to shoot just one little shot.
Right.
Enter the Power Glove. He reconfigured it so that now all he needs is always at his fingertips.
What Marky's discovered is that the Power Glove now has become a tremendous time saver, and that allows for more creativity.
There's a lot more silly poses that you didn't realize you were going to make.
Because he says it feels like what you used to do as a kid.
When you're actually taking your action figures and going, you know.
No trade secret here. Markey hopes pros as well as do-it-yourselfers get in on the action. Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Coming up, parents will name their babies just about anything.
But still to come, one judge says no to Nutella. We'll tell you the baby's new name after the break.
And Kobe Bryant needs surgery. It's going to end his season. What does this mean for the Lakers? Can't be good. We'll have the details coming up in sports. Replacing Russian rockets with the Made in America label for manned missions to the space station. NASA officials today gave an optimistic report on the construction of two commercial designs, one from Boeing, the other from SpaceX, headquartered in Hawthorne. Both capsules are well on the way to certification for manned spaceflight. The SpaceX version will carry 4 crew members plus cargo and return with a soft landing on the ground.
There's a number of upgrades that we've been working for the past few years to ensure that this crew version of Dragon is as reliable as it could possibly be.
SpaceX and Boeing say they're both on track to carry out their first manned test flights to the space station in 2017.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, finally some rain in the Southlands, what we've been waiting for.
Yes, unfortunately not a ton of rain, but what do they say?
We're happy for
every bit is good.
Okay,
something
I was going to say we take what we can get, but those both. All right. They all work.
A bird in the hand.
Oh, yeah. I'm waiting for more.
Okay. I can't remember.
Early rise, early bird gets the worm. Has nothing to do with this. Okay, let's see what happened earlier today. That time lapse showing we had some clouds around LAX. Yeah, all right. That was it was nice to see because we've just been so warm and windy and dry lately. The change, clouds alone. But then with some rain in the area, fantastic. Okay, let's check out that live Meganopolis 7000 HD. I'm going to start you off with the loop mode, and I'm going to bring you up to the current image right now. Just to show you the motion of all this is from the southeast to the northwest. We've had some pockets of heavier rain that moved through right around Van Nuys, Granada Hills earlier on, about 3-4 hours ago. Now just light rainfall and even a little bit of light snow around the mountains, Wrightwood, Mount Baldy, Crestline, and Big Bear. Not a lot. And the snow level's around 7,500 feet, so we're really not looking for a ton of accumulations, but hey, again, we'll take what we can get. A little is a lot, whatever. All right, showing the current image here, I want you to notice that to the south of our area, things are a little bit drier, and again, this is moving from the southeast to the northwest, so you get the idea. Some of the drier air will entrain into the area, and we will start drying out. I'd say the next few hours, seeing things more of a scattered, spotty nature, and by tomorrow morning, the rain's done. So for tonight, more rain, but not a ton in terms of accumulations. Actually, I just looked. The most I saw around Temecula, 1/4 inch. Palomar Mountain, 0.29. So nothing tremendous. There is a winter weather advisory that goes through 2 a.m., by the way, for the mountain areas. 3 inches of snow, 7,500 feet and above is what we're expecting. Okay? And then by tomorrow morning when you wake up, I think things will be dry. Big mess in the northeast. I know you've been hearing about this storm system that's just been barreling through that area, bringing plenty of cold air. It's a nor'easter, so it yanks all that cool, cold air and moisture around it from the northeast, and that is going to be obviously a big issue for them. For us, this is a mild system. In fact, mild in many senses. One, it's bringing mild air. Normally we would see storm systems dive down from the south. This one is coming here from the south to the north and is bringing that subtropical moisture in the area. It's not high pressure, it's low pressure, by the way. So for tonight, I'll keep that rain chance in there. And it's moving southeast to northwest out of here. I stopped this at midnight, and you see some rain is still left around Oxnard, Ojai, probably still some spotty activity around the mountain areas, maybe a little snow around Big Bear. And then by 6 a.m., it's out of here, maybe even before that. And tomorrow's going to be a partly cloudy day and mild. 72 in Los Angeles, 70 in Inglewood, 68 in Northridge. Again, if this had been a storm system from the north, we'd have cold air that had been funneling in, and we wouldn't see numbers like this, but it's coming from the south, so that changes everything. 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County. A few days in the 70s, clouds, cooler. We're into the 60s by Friday, and then we start warming it up again into the weekend. More winds ahead for Saturday and Sunday. Valleys, IE, a few nice days here with a few clouds around. And then another system comes in Thursday and Friday. I don't think we're going to get a lot of rain from that. Maybe in the mountains, but the beaches should stay dry throughout. Just a little cool, with temperatures around 70 at the most for the next 4 days. And then the weekend climbing up again. We've got those Santa Anas kicking in for the weekend. The mountains, okay, you guys have a few showers ahead still overnight. And then maybe Thursday, Friday, I would say the rain chances would be confined to the mountains. And then temperatures in the 40s. We really need some cold air with that moisture to get you snow. High desert looking pretty good after get a few showers tonight out of the way. That's it for me. Dallas has more on ABC7.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much. Now to sports. It's not the age of the car, it's the miles on the car. Clearly, Kobe Bryant's body is starting to break down a little bit. For the 3rd consecutive year, an injury has sent the face of the franchise to the bench for the remainder of the season. Kobe tore his right rotator cuff last Wednesday. He will now have surgery on Wednesday. Doctors say rehab is a minimum of 6 months. It's clear the Mamba is done for 2015. Next year will be his 20th year in the league, and when you add up all the playoff games and other appearances, he has played already close to 21 years of pro basketball. Kobe's status this season has been game by game. Now that he's shut down for the rest of the year, does that make it easier for Coach Byron Scott?
No. I'd rather have him and saying, okay, you're not going to play this game, you're going to play the next game, you're not going to play it in a couple. I'd rather have that than not have him at all. So, no, it doesn't clarify anything besides the fact that, you know, there are going to be a lot of people playing. You know, we got to find the right pieces to play. But as far as that goes, I'd rather have him half the time than none of the time.
NFL now, the Patriots may have found their fall guy for the Deflategate conspiracy. The NFL has set its sights on a New England Patriots locker room attendant. Fox Sports is reporting the locker room attendant allegedly took the AFC Championship game balls from the officials' locker room to another area on the way to the field. The league has interviewed him and has video. He is said to be a strong person of interest. The investigation into how the balls got deflated is expected to last several more weeks. And finally, the Dodgers' 12th annual Winter Caravan started today. Two of the best first basemen in Dodger history were at Garfield High, talking to students and giving instruction on the finer points of the game. We're talking about Adrian Gonzalez and Eric Karros, both wearing number 23. Former Dodgers Tim Leary, Dennis Powell, and Darryl Thomas also took part. The Caravan will also make other stops in the Southland and will finish up on Friday.
Donut lovers from across Southern California flocked to the iconic Donut Man shop in Glendora, and starting today, their famous strawberry donuts are back in season. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda talked to customers who can't get enough of the classic treat.
It's a small shop on Route 66, but the Donut Man is known all over for this sweet creation, strawberry donuts, and today they're back on the menu.
They're amazing. We come all the way from Fontana just to come get donuts here.
We got our berries and we're very happy about it.
The Donut Man, Jim Nakano, sells these donuts only when strawberries are in season. He says for him, it's all about quality.
I'm very hard-headed, and and my wife attests to that, but she, you know, if it's not right, we don't sell it.
This certainly isn't your average donut. It's huge. It's about the size of my hand, and they're so stuffed with strawberries that you really need a fork to eat them.
How special are these donuts? Well, love is beautiful, but these are donuts.
We're not supposed to be having donuts because we're getting ready for a wedding, but this is an exception.
Probably the third best thing, and you can imagine what the first two are.
As soon as the strawberry donuts became available, the news spread on social media, and people started coming.
You want the strawberry one?
Alfonso Porras is driving back to his home in Utah with a box full of donuts for his son.
See, my son asked me to, on my way back, to make sure that I picked them up. He got them on Facebook. He looked at them. He said, "You need to stop, Dad."
Nakano says he is happy that his customers are happy biting into his creations, and he knows he's the best donut around.
We're always constantly baking, especially on the weekend. It's almost a 24-hour bake, so they're getting something hot all the time. So that's the other secret, is everything's fresh.
We wish we could have strawberry donuts forever, but as they say, they're only here for a limited time, until the season ends in September. In Glendora, I'm Carlos Granda, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Hey, Carlos forgot to bring one back for me.
Yep, miss me too.
Well, more news straight ahead here at 7:30, and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11. We're tracking tonight's massive winter blast back east. New York City is preparing for unprecedented freeway, street, and rail closures as the huge snowstorm moves in, affecting tens of millions of people in the Northeast. Plus, here at home, what triggered this dangerous tree fire in Hacienda Heights? These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Emma Watson is tackling a beautiful new role. She'll star as Belle in a live-action reboot of Disney's animated classic Beauty and the Beast. Emma shared the news on Facebook, where she said, "My 6-year-old self is on the ceiling, heart bursting. Time to start some singing lessons."
Well, we hear crazy baby names every day, especially involving celebrities, but one judge in France decided a child named Nutella should have her name changed. The court ruled naming the child after a food was against her best interest and would, quote, only lead to teasing or disparaging thoughts. The judge renamed the child Ella after the parents failed to show up in court.
Valentine's Day is approaching, and if you've recently gone through a breakup, it may not be a holiday you're anticipating. However, the San Francisco Zoo is offering a unique way for the lovelorn to get even with their exes. They're giving people a chance to adopt a giant scorpion or a hissing cockroach in honor of their special ex. For a donation, the zoo will send a corresponding Valentine to the person who inspired the adoption.
Here's a picture of a hissing cockroach.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law and Order SVU is next.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. Have a great night.
Good night.